Yeah, so talk a little bit about false memories and how easy they are to create. Now, I know we've talked about this before, but this applies here because in the presence of prestige, that therapist holds power in the mind of the patient, right?
Right.
And
So as soon as you have prestige, you're more believable. And I told Chris I used to do a keynote. And when I'd be speaking to a group, I'd say, well, I want to raise credibility for this next point. I'd reach my briefcase and I'd put on a stethoscope and just wear it and continue talking. Everybody laughed,
ha ha ha,
but they
it
got
works
the
anyway.
point.
Yeah.
It works anyway. That's the bizarre thing. Just like placebos will work, even if you know they're a placebo,
Yeah.
which is very strange.
Which is totally weird.
So a therapist, especially one who's been highly recommended, if their forte is looking for trauma, looking for events and hidden memories and all these things, that's what they're going to be looking for all the time because they've become convinced that that's what's necessary. But we are not mind readers. You know, we cannot say, oh, yeah, it sounds to me like this is happening or this is happening. And then the client's going, really? Well, yeah, it really does. Now, the therapist may be right, but the therapist may also be horrendously wrong.
Yeah. I mean, unless there's reason to suspect something like that, and even if there is, you would never tell your client. You should never say, oh, you've clearly been traumatized in the past. That is not your, you don't have no, you have no information to back that up.
Right.
You could very well be wrong, and it's completely inappropriate.
And then it falls back to, well, I just feel that, sure. Now, interestingly, you follow up on this with therapists who've told clients they've gone through specific situations. Back in the 70s and 80s, there was an immense UFO flop where people were starting to see UFOs before people were able to film every week.
I was
See
wondering
now.
what you meant when you said UFOs fit into this. And this is it.
But so many people were apparently going for hypnotherapy and finding out that they had been taken on flying saucers, had been, beamed through the walls of their house at night, and they went to another planet and all this stuff.
Mention it.
Antonio Villas-Boas down in South America or Central America went through this whole experience. Barney and Betty Hill were the classic case. It's up there with Incident at Exeter, and The Interrupted Journey was the book. Barney and Betty Hill had missing time. They were a mixed race marriage, which was very unusual then, and they both had this blackout and went to a hypnotherapist who gave them this whole story of how they'd been taken on a UFO. Well, of course, once you publish that, then everyone starts saying, well, maybe I was taken on a UFO too.
Yeah.
And you start looking for these things. Remember, guys, your unconscious mind has no way of differentiating a real memory from an imagined one. In fact, as Melissa says, Melissa Tears, all memories are imaginary anyway, really, in so many words.
Access a memory.
You change it every time.
It's chemical. It's biochemical.
Electrochemical, yeah. Electrochemical.
There you go. Good enough.
Still corrected. It's just fantastic.
Chemical.
So
if you access it, you will change it.
It's the only way to preserve your memories, as Melissa said, is to never access them.
Similarly, if you
like it starting with similarly,
you will change the structure of that road in some way. You will grind it down a little bit, or you will whatever, walking on a path.
But then people typically take it too far and they say, well, quantum physics has proven that if you talk about changing the road, you change it. And you get more and more removed from reality at this point. Anyway, so the UFO flop, everybody was taking on UFOs. This was followed pretty closely. And I said it was the Barney Betty Hill event that I think really triggered much of it. People started looking for UFO encounters that they didn't remember. And then it became satanic ritual abuse. That people discovering their parents had abused them, had murdered animals, in their house, had satanic ceremonies down in the basement, all this crazy stuff. Because when you start looking for that, when someone is in a trance and you say, was there ever a time you went downstairs at night? I don't think so. Think back. Yeah, I think maybe I did once. Were your parents there sacrificing, to Satan? Yeah, as soon as you start to drop these into a trance, you're creating memories right away. This is paramnesia. And I know what I'm talking about because I've done enough forensic hypnosis, including being consulted on 3 murder cases. I know about this stuff. And that's why you have to have a means that can access genuine memories without creating this. And that's the problem. A therapist has that prestige that you said.
Yes. So anytime you say anything that leads the witness, so to speak, you are likely, especially in hypnosis and with prestige, to create a false memory.
Brilliant. We're going to be coming back to that leading the witness point in a second here. People convinced they went through sexual abuse. Now, I know that a lot of people did, and it is very, very important to deal with that. I'm not in any way minimizing that, but I'm talking about therapists who look for things. There were the cases where they have a little doll and they say, did he touch you? Yeah, where? And the kid hugs the doll. Did he touch you here? Yeah, they try to please the therapist. And that's a dangerous thing too, because then you get people who are absolutely innocent being charged with horrendous crimes and ruining their lives,
Which
as we
is
said.
exactly why we're bringing this up, because that's one of the examples that was brought into our community, and it still happens out there. Not as prevalently, I suppose, but not as frequently, but it still happens, and it really shouldn't. Therapists should be more competent than that.
Well, this is it. And children are highly suggestible. They go into trance very, very easily. And the setting, the nurturing setting of dealing with a child therapeutically can trigger trance states. You have little let's pretend games, and next thing you know, you've got the kid in a trance, you're implanting memories. So it's something that all hypnotists have to be especially careful with. Also, I said the therapy session may in and of itself induce trance. Guided imagery, which a lot of people go through, it creates memories as well. And I went through guided imagery. I went to a therapist once in my life when my bull terrier died.
Yes.
And I had so much grief. I walked into my doctor's office, and he's a very good calibrator. As soon as I walked through the door, he said, "Mike, what happened to you?" Instantly. I went to a grief counselor one session, and she took me, not knowing she's doing hypnosis, I don't think, because she wasn't a hypnotist, but she did pretty good hypnosis where I was going through this guided image, walking with the dog, and where I used to walk in the park, there was a hole in the fence. But this time the dog went through the hole, and I came home without him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it did help me. I mean, it absolutely helped me. But that kind of guided imagery is creating very, very powerful states that can be confused with memories, as you well know.
Yes, for sure. Oh, man. I can relate.
Well, you said protein kinase C. You said that this is electrochemical. This is the chemical that's going to, the enzyme that's going to create new memories. I don't know if it's an enzyme, it's certainly a protein. But the solution, good therapists need to be extremely aware of their prestige and their power of inputting suggestions, whether they intend to or not. And the solution is use data questions instead of things that lead the witness. So like when we do mindscaping, we don't say, is there, a giant monster in front of you? We say, or what do you see in front of you? We don't even say that. We say, what's directly in front of you? Just an implication there's something there. We're not even saying see.
Yeah. And you can ask safe questions, include things like, are you alone or were you with anyone else? This is just a yes or no. You're not feeding them saying, who else was with you?
Right. And we'll be getting to that when we look at regression here. So yeah.